Hey everyone, it's Patchworth again, and this is another behind the scenes with myself, my life, and everything else I can kind of think of off the top of my head. So unfortunately, you may have noticed that sometimes the updates have been a little sporadic. I'm hoping to change that soon. Unfortunately, most of what I have is already prepared is Hearthstone and maybe a little bit of HOTS, and I've got to sort of edit that stuff down. I did just record a couple of episodes of Home with Chip, actually. Kind of a weird setup. Hopefully the audio won't be too bad. As I've mentioned before, I don't have the best setup. Working on potentially advertising at something called Oddmall. So I'm getting a couple of texts in the background. Ignore it. I'll take care of it in a minute. Partially the reason why is I've been trying to spend more time, with Chip. And unfortunately, what that means is that I can't do as much recording unless I'm actually spending time recording with him, which actually works out really well. He actually likes to watch video games more than he likes to play it, so what might end up being is either we'll do trade-offs, or we'll do like some other YouTube guys do, where one person plays, the other person sort of comments. The only thing, my only concern is with my current setup, I'd have to find some way to get us both headphones and, to be able to hear it on the mic. It's difficult, especially with my limited budget, but I'll eventually get it to work, hopefully. But last weekend, a lot of stuff happened. I ended up going, a couple of firsts for me. Chip and a couple of other friends and I went up to this Bavarian village up in the middle of the hills here in Washington. Way north of Seattle, and we went clear up into the mountains where you could sort of you could feel the height, but it's this town that is set up to look like an old timey Bavarian village with pa bands were playing, and we went to Oktoberfest and got to drink a whole bunch of beers, and I got this really cool pin right here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. And oh my god, so many girls in the beer wench costumes. I didn't know that was going to be a thing for me, but very, very attractive. So my goal next year, go down to Oktoberfest with a girlfriend wearing a beer wench outfit. I don't really care what she wears, but that's a goal. That's a life goal. So doing that, we also spent the night over at Chip's camp, and so I camped overnight in a tent for the first time. Forever. When I camp, I go into a cabin that was built, and we have cable and fans and stuff if it gets too hot. This is my first time actually camping in a tent. A lot of firsts for me that weekend. And then later, a couple of days later, actually the next day, there's a local bar down here called Shorty's, which is a clown, circus-themed pinball bar. It's a dive bar, and you can play. They have pinball contests first Sunday of every month, and you can go there and you can play old school pinball machines and drink, and just all the tables are set up on these pool table. They're like pinball tables, and it's really cool. I should be able to actually link it in the bottom of this description, show you what that was. And what ended up happening is they were trying to shut down the building immediately next to it. A lot of development's been happening down in downtown Seattle because Amazon came in, so they're knocking down a whole bunch of buildings, building skyscrapers that I can't afford to live in, nor can most of the artist friends that I have. So they can have douche bros from other states come in there and just wiping out our culture systematically, just raising the rents and pushing out businesses that are make this city the city that I wanted to move to. So there was this big protest, Save Shorties, where like hundreds, I think, of people came, and they were in, like clown makeup, and they just they swept in and just like drank and signed petitions and just raised awareness, and there were news crews were there to check it out, and then like a couple of days later they actually voted on it to try and make the building next to it, the Wayne Apartments, which was actually the shithole that I used to live in, ironically enough. Never thought I'd be trying to save that place, but, it's for the greater good. And we won. That building was actually declared a historical landmark, which means unless they want to try to knock down all the buildings around there to build a skyscraper and just have that shit-tastic apartment right there smack dab in the middle of their fancy new skyscraper, it's very unlikely they're going to try and destroy that. So that whole block should be saved. Crossing fingers. There might be a few more roadblocks, but it's a good first step. It was really great to see that the community of Seattle and the artists and the people who go to these places just coming together, united to try and save a building and striking a blow against just straight up, development, like knocking down soulless, like soulful buildings to build like lifeless condominiums. It was great. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I got to, make balloon animals, and there's pictures all over the place. I also started, you may have noticed, Instagram, so hopefully I'll be able to use that a little bit more to advertise what I do, hopefully. And if you just want to see like goofy, pictures of me, that's a good place to do it. There's a lot of silly things on there. I've only been on there for a couple of days, but it's a thing. It's doesn't take long for me to do it, and so I can usually keep up with it more than trying to figure out what to say on Twitter, so. And that's it. I've just been trying to keep going with a lot of this stuff here, trying to get out more and more often. But it's tough. It's tough when you work all the time, and then to do this, and then have a social life, especially when you don't drive, But I'm making do. I'm making do, guys. So hopefully be patient with me. I know there's a couple of loyal viewers out there who still watch pretty much, at least all the new stuff. And I appreciate that. I appreciate every view. And I just hope you keep joining me, guys. I'm so happy to be able to do this, and hopefully someday I'll be able to do this full time and really bring it out. If anybody has any other suggestions or stuff that they'd like to see, I'd like to maybe start doing either some machinima stuff or like sketches. I don't know. I don't know where to expand from here, but I've been doing it for a while. And if I knew more people to do stuff with, I'd do sketches, but I don't know. Still just trying to put myself out there. But until then, guys, thanks for joining me. Hopefully you'll join me for the next one. And until then, cheers all.